is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
A seer of the way, a seeker of the fullness in the future of the clay. These hands are rough and the purpose to create from a mind unconfined that is designed to calculate, intuiting of the essence, presence of the whole beyond each individual part. Master of the mind space, mason of the landscape, with intelligence she access from the heart. A spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the status quo.
And welcome to another edition of Guardian Radio Today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas. Big up John 9, spiritual woman. That's what we're talking about today here on Guardian Radio on this 17th day of March, Tuesday. It's nice and warm, and we're happy to have you here with us. We have a special guest today. This is Women's Month, and every month is Women's Month here on Guardian Radio. But this month especially, we have a wonderful event coming up at the end of the month, and so I got some guests this week talking about some very important realities concerning women. You know, we can't live without them, right? Special guest today is a sister. Her name is Azandi Ashanti Ali. She's has a podcast called The Vantage Point. She's also a student priestess of the Holy Coptic Church. And so she's going to be sharing today with us, because what we really want to talk about today is this reality. I mean, this is part of what we're going to talk about, but this idea of the womb is a battle. I don't know if you ever thought of the womb as a battlefield, but in many instances it is. And so I want to say namastu, my sister. How are you today?
Namastu. I'm doing well.
Excellent.
How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm here. We doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you and everyone over at Guardian Radio for having me today. Yes,
indeed. A spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the status quo.
Status quo. I love that.
Yeah. You know, my sister, a lot of times when we talk about the realities of womanhood, right? And what it means to be a woman. Obviously, you know, that's why I have women talking about this topic. But the Holy Coptic Church, the Black Messiah, we have a wonderful conference it's the end of this month. I just want to kind of make sure that some of the listeners who may not be able to stay for the whole show are aware of the event. Do you have information that you can share with us right now about the event before we dive? Yeah, let's do that first.
All right. So the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah hosts the annual Women's Conference, the Women of Purpose Conference. And this year, it will be taking place March 27th at 6 p.m. a.m. And our focus is the womb of liberation, the rebranding of Proverbs 31, African-centeredness, because we're looking at Proverbs 31 from an African perspective as the original scripture was presented to us. And so we're looking at raising a liberated generation in the spirit of the revolutionary Christ. So that's what we're getting into this year.
Yes, indeed. So the rebranding of Proverbs 31. I mean, all my life, you know, I know my grandmother, my mother, and many women close to me, we refer to them as Proverbs 31 women. Why is it necessary to rebrand or revisit or look at Proverbs 31 from an African perspective? Why is that important?
Well, it's important because if we don't look at it through an African perspective, what we call African eyes, that means that we're looking at it through the lens of someone else who has taken those records and inserted other information, mistranslated the information, misinterpreted the information. So we can't allow ourselves to trust in the mistranslation of even those who have become our oppressors, right? So it's important for us as seeking liberation, scriptural liberation, to understand that we were given these records. And these records were meant to liberate us. And if we haven't seen ourselves, we had these records for how long? And if we haven't seen this liberation take place, that means something is wrong. And what's wrong is the way that it's being interpreted. We're looking at it through the wrong eyes. So it's very important that we begin to look at it through African eyes so that we can achieve the liberation.
Right. So you say, obviously, we've been talking about Proverbs 31 before I was here. before we was here, they're going to be talking about it after we leave. But like you say, we're not seeing the results of having read that from the perspective of King James or the Latin Vulgate or whichever interpretation people read it from. And so this event this coming up on the 27th. Now this is for men and women, correct?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
It's for men.
I just want to make sure
we understand.
Yeah.
We don't separate the man from the woman. This is not a feminist thing. This is not a woman time to shine. We understand that in order for us to fix us as ladies, we must have the man present. We must consider the children because in the African theology and cosmology, scripturally speaking, all three must be present. All three must have be considered in this conversation. So we need men, please show up.
Yeah. We definitely got to make sure the men are there. And they can go to journeyhomegroup.com. Is that where they would
Yes, go to www.journeyhomegroup.com. You'll see some things within the next few days where you can register for free and with your friends and family. And if you follow us on social media, the Holy Coptic Church International, you'll also see a lot of ads going up.
Definitely.
Couple days, yes.
In today's world, we see the family, Black family especially, from our perspective anyway, that's what we're focusing on, is under attack. Do you find as you're on your podcast and you're always sharing and teaching your student priestess, do you find that as you teach, that as you talk to people in your daily walk, is there a sense of the Black family being under attack? Are we even aware of this attack that's taking place?
Well, if we're not aware of this attack, then I think we must take accountability to figure out why are we living in 2026 with all the access to information, and not just access to information, but seeing what's happening to the melanated family, what's happening to the melanated woman today, and not understand the attack that's taking place. And so, yes, we always speak about how we're being attacked, but not just how we're being attacked. Once we understand what is happening, how do we counter that?
Yeah.
That's what's most important. I think sometimes when we look at, the oppression that has taken place, when we look at that has taken place, we get stuck in what's happening to us. But a lot of people don't want to put effort into how do we now change that? How do we counter that perspective? How do we counter what's happening and move things in our favor? And that's when it comes to putting in action. And I think a lot of us, we've become so much of talkers, but we have to be doers. We have to become doers. So it's been an attack on not just melanated women, but the melanated family. But because, every year we make sure the men have their conference, and the ladies must also have a conference because Bibi Shahrazad Ali, she speaks about how we get to always talk about the men, And every conversation is about the man and what the man doesn't do, what the man does do. But this is the time of year where, yes, we get to uplift ourselves. But before we uplift ourselves, we have to look at the inconsistencies. We have to look at the ways in which our mentality has been shifted, the ways in which we partake in ignorance ourselves, because it's no one person's fault. So yes, there is an attack, but now there comes responsibility to counter that attack.
Sounds like we're going to be mentioning, some people say it's a curse word to women, accountability. Accountability. Oh, my goodness. So you mean there's going to be a discussion about it? Because, you know, man, we take our licks daily. You know, man ain't work this. We dogs. we just accept it now. All right, that's who we are. All right, cool. You said that in order for us to heal, in order for us as families to heal, the men got to take accountability and the women got to take accountability. This is the opportunity for the women to take accountability for some of the things that have been picked up on the journey of slavery and oppression. Am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely. And you asked, does the men have to be present? That's why the men have to be present, to hold us accountable. Because sometimes when it's a bunch of ladies in the room, and I'm a woman myself, right? So I understand. When it's a bunch of us in the room, we get to pat each other on the back. Yes, sis, powerful. Let's do it. I'm her. I'm she. Right? But a man said, well, hold up, wait a minute now. Last night, that was not, come on now, wait a minute. I live with you.
Right.
So it forces accountability, because it can't be a celebration for something that's not achieved, right? But we can work towards achieving it so that our celebration is warranted. But we can't celebrate being something that we haven't become. That's why it's called becoming. But we can't celebrate it before we become that.
Wow.
Right? And so that's why I look side by side with our scriptures. We were given the African book of the Nazarites. Nazarites are spoken about in the Bible, in the book of Numbers, and it says she is worth more than rubies. And that side by side with the Proverbs works so well together, because one holds us accountable and the other one uplifts us and tell us what we can become.
Right.
But I'm always like, look, let's not celebrate until we actually address the hard part. You know, we address the things that we don't want to talk about. One of the things talking about the melanated woman, she must be uncovered, processed, and shined. So that means that to be uncovered, that means we have to analyze, we have to examine all of those things, the traumas, the miseducation, all of these things that we've gone through, all of these things that's happened to us, and that's made our mind so tainted and made us so have so much conviction on something that has not even been verified. Right? A lot of times we hold conviction about we're this and we're that, and a lot of times that's just what someone else said. That's just feminism. That's just another lie that was portrayed. But to be uncovered means that we have to take all of that apart, and you have to you have to examine. We can't put on the mask. We have to see us for exactly who and what we are. And once that uncovering takes place, then we can be processed. Wow. And that processing is a process in itself. It's a process of reawakening. It's a process of actually going through the steps so that you can be shined, but you can't be shined until we go through the process. So these are all steps that the melanated woman must go through to be worth more than rubies. But the right says we already are a 9 and a 10, and we already we're already that person. But none of us went through the process.
None of us went through the process. Wow. The womb is a battlefield. This is one of the things that's going to be discussed during this conference. I want to just touch on it a little bit to give people just a little taste of what to expect. The womb is a battlefield. Why melanated motherhood terrifies systems of oppression. What is that talking about? I mean, you see a beautiful picture of a beautiful Black family, a husband, a wife, children, a dog, the picket fence. Why is that terrifying? What's terrifying about that? What's that about?
What's terrifying about that is that we are battling ignorance, right? We're battling a system.
Okay.
So a lot of times we think that we're battling a specific individual that is a part of a system. But once we realize that we're battling a system, we understand the system attacked that very image of the man, the woman, and the child. Because that man, woman, and child, in their consciousness of who they are, can bring that system down.
Wow.
And that's what they fear.
Right.
Is to bring down the very system that will keep those people in power and in play. So we have to understand this is not about a person, but we're battling a system, and we're attacking ignorance. And once we attack ignorance and we liberate ourselves, what we can do is unimaginable. What we can do for ourselves, that brings down the whole system, because now everything we're doing is for ourselves, by ourselves. What happens when we don't have to go to your supermarket?
Wow.
What happens when we don't have to buy your clothes? Everything for ourselves.
Right.
When we can produce for ourselves, when we have our land. What happens when we stop promoting the idea that we must go to college to get a job and to live in a nice penthouse and then to have this family and to live the dream? But when the dream becomes land ownership, when the dream becomes agriculture, when the dream becomes raising your child under your system of education, that is a threat to the status quo.
Wow. Well, we won't be consumers in their whole plot to just get rich off of us, as they've been doing now for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
We got some.
The Bible says we'll become their inheritance.
We explain that, because that's important. Explain what does that mean, that we'll become their inheritance?
We'll become their inheritance, meaning that they will survive off of your back.
My Lord.
Everything that you do will never be to benefit or for the success of melanated people, but for their children to benefit generations to come. Their children get out of high school and get a car. Their children go to college and have everything set up. They have trust funds. Their children are set. But our children, we're still struggling trying to figure it out. We've become their inheritance.
Graduate, and then we got to start all over again and do everything our parents did, instead of it being like a relay where they pass something on to us and we grow and leave something more for our children. Instead, we just, I understand what you're saying. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259 in the family of islands. It is 300-5720. And of course, that is toll free. The Guardian radio text line is powered by BTC, and the number there is 422-4796. Of course, the standard text rates do apply. We're also streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com, as well as Cable Bahamas 969 or BTC Flow channel 612. We're having this conversation today because it's necessary. Let's first say that it's necessary for us to be able to have these types of conversations where we address some of the fundamental issues that we tend to ignore or tend to not even really recognize. Our special guest today is Azandi Ashanti Ali from the Vantage Point podcast. He's also a student priestess of the Holy Coptic Church. Calling you live here on Guardian Radio today.
Hi, folks. How are you today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for calling.
All right. I just want to ask, where is the seminar going to? I think you said times, but where exactly?
We'll be live on Zoom. And I believe on YouTube as well. And so you can always, once you register, you'll receive a Zoom link and code for you to log in that day. And those who decide to join us on YouTube will be able to go to our channel, Coptic Television, Coptic TV on YouTube, and view it there as well.
Oh, okay, great. So there's not a physical location that we're going to be. This is going to be online.
Well, we potentially may have one here in Nassau. So we'll keep you updated with that. And then this is global, so there potentially may be face-to-face rooms in various cities. Am I correct, Sister Zonda?
Yes, that is correct. That is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Nassau, Bahamas, they are working that out to have it live there. We have people in the UK, people in Trinidad and Tobago, people here in the US. So we are looking forward to hopefully inviting you to the building there. But if not, we will be online.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Okay, great. And I'd like to just share one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think, based on the initial information that I've gotten from you thus far, I think that it's something that is going to be very interesting. I think that from my personal experience, and I've seen it.
Oh boy, did we lose him?
Went out for me.
Yeah, it went out for me. I think we may have lost you, caller. Just call back here on Guardian Radio. Sorry about that, my brother. Call back. Let's go. Sorry, he's back up? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was saying I'm really looking forward to getting some information, more details. I think that it may be something that a lot to hear, including our brothers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll just give you a prime example. It seems as though our sisters in relation to relationships, and a lot of the brothers, and particularly Bahamian men, they are trying to figure out or not, are there any more, I'm being very real with you,
Mm-hmm.
are there any more wife material
Right.
in this country?
Mm.
It seems as though that there is so much games playing, so much, stuff going on. And it's like, let me give you a prime example of one thing. Nowadays, it seems as though you can see someone and you don't mean anything by it. You can just simply say, hey, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
They're either, not because, of anything, but they're either like, that's a crime. They look at you like, oh.
What you want?
What you want? What you want now?
Yes.
The fact of just saying, hey, hope you're having a beautiful day. Something. It's like you're cussing them.
Mm.
And
well, if you don't mind, if I can jump in just for a second, if you don't mind, if I jump in what you just said, so I don't lose. Earlier we spoke a little bit about miseducating. And you said, do we have any more wives around? But who taught us what a wife is? So if we don't understand what a wife looks like, and we're only looking at Proverbs, like we said earlier, from a Eurocentric mentality, and we're not looking at the African realities of the scripture, we won't ever know what a wife is, because propaganda has made a wife to be the person who is desired but doesn't have to reciprocate. It makes the wife become it creates a identity for this wife, a false identity. But when we look at the African proverbs, it says a melanated lady of purpose is rare. The reason that she's rare today is because she must embody 7 roles simultaneously. Whoa. She must be the womb of the nation, which means that she must know how to not just raise the child that's in her stomach, but she must be a teacher of the nation, of the children that are being brought up. And she must be a teacher of law. She must be able to impart upon these children the law in the family, to say that law is necessary. And it's our protection from this mentality that we've inherited, from this mentality that we've been given via propaganda and false interpretation of the scriptures. So understanding that she has a role to play. It says she must be the guardian of culture. See, culture doesn't say, I can't speak to you. How you doing? I'm doing well. You keep moving. You don't have to want to be in a relationship with this person, but we greet each other. African perspective is we greet each other, right? So it comes with culture. But if we have lost culture, and we have, as ladies, are not guardians of that culture and what that culture teaches, then we have lost who we are. And it says she must be an economic organizer, a spiritual intermediary, a communal stabilizer, and an architect of future generations. So if we've lost these roles, We have been raised in someone else's image and someone else's likeness that doesn't make the Black melanated woman appealing or makes it mean like, man, will I have a wife? Will I have a Proverbs woman? Will I have this type of lady? But if we lose culture, we lose the person you're looking for and the person that you're talking about. Wow. So it's not a matter of just saying, well, where is she? Where is scripture, African scripture? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where is education, proper education, and not miseducation of our identity? Because as we said earlier, we're attacking ignorance, and ignorance is the lack of wisdom and the lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So we have to begin to know who we are. Once we obtain the proper knowledge of self, you'll begin to see her again.
So they out there is what you're saying. We gotta would you say gotta uncover them and dust them off and
we said becoming. Becoming. Okay. We have to become.
Thanks, caller.
It's a process. It is a process.
It's a process, my Lord. So keep hope alive, brothers. And let me just say this today. Let's just be clear about that. If y'all hear how we go hard on the brothers, y'all, it just happened to be.
I just want to correct real quick. We're not saying that she's out there in the world, right? Because the world only produces worldly women. Right. So I want to make sure that we're clear. We're not saying, she out there, have hope, keep hope alive. No, we're saying we have to be in the right environment that creates that type of woman, that creates that type of lady. I always talk sometimes to some of my sisters, and I don't know if they're listening in, but we always talk about the dating field and who's out here and who's not out here. And we're looking for a cultured man in the streets, or we're looking for a man with these principles and morals in the streets. And I'm like, well, the streets doesn't have these type of rules that we're looking for. So we want the image of the guy that's in the street, but the treatment of the guy that's in the church, or the image of the guy that's in the street, but the treatment of the guy that's in the mosque, vice versa. We want the image of the lady in the streets, but the treatment of the lady in the church. So it's about the environment and what that environment creates. Just want to make sure we're clear. So we're not saying go out in the streets and hope and look for it.
Right. And we also saying that type of church and that type of mosque got to have an African perspective, correct?
Exactly. Yes. It has to have African perspective.
Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you live.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing? You're live. Thanks for calling.
Good. My name is Ed Fields.
Ed Fields, how are you?
I'm good, but I'm a little disturbed, and I felt the need to call in.
Sure.
As we speak, one of the most central traffic lanes in this country, that is the traffic lane in front of Saunders Beach.
Yes, I just went through that.
Which is the single source, by the way, of traffic flow problems going west in the afternoon and east in the evening, simply because of the conflicting in and outs from the fast food restaurants in the area. This is not their fault; that's their business. They have to operate. But we have not. There are plans put in place to prevent that by putting in roundabouts and left turn only. But we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
What is important today is this: in the in the southern lane, there's a traffic accident. Fortunately, people can go around the car to the left. In the northern lane is a self-imposed traffic jam all the way up to almost Goodman's Bay. Why? Because and I'm trying to restrain myself.
I understand.
Some extremely challenged person decided that they're going to patch the road at 2:30 on a okay? That someone has decided this is the optimal time to do this, rather than in the evening or early morning.
Yeah.
Very early morning.
Yeah.
When there is very little traffic.
That's why I was late today.
Added to that, sir, and I'll just say this last thing. Added to that, sir, there are no flagmen or policemen or anyone directing traffic. It is a free-for-all.
Wow.
Okay? What is happening? Why are we not capable of managing such a simple task?
Yes, I agree.
So I just want to throw that out there in the hope that someone who is responsible for this stuff is listening. Either the police or the Ministry of Works or whoever is contracted these people to do this.
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm sure this is not the optimal situation.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you for that PSA.
I'll hang up now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Sister Zandi, we in the village. So that's one of the elders. That's one of the elders. Yeah, I gotta
Okay.
respect the elders. You know, they had
Yes,
this.
sir.
They got a big traffic jam. It caused me to be a little late today, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm happy one of the elders called in to address that. So thank you, Mr. Fields, for that PSA. And I do pray that someone is addressing that immediately, because that was very frustrating. It is frustrating for many today. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you live.
My brother, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for calling.
And your beautiful guest. How are you, Mom?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm enjoying you already. I have 3 questions I would like for you to please help me with.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the book of Proverbs, and I think you in book chapter 10, who can find a virtuous woman for a price is far above ruby. Question number 1, do all of the sisters fit that category of being a virtuous?
Absolutely not. And I think that's what we were getting to, is that we today, and we have to understand why we don't fit that category of being a virtuous woman, is because we're following someone else's virtues. Is that we're following someone else's interpretation of what woman should be. So when we move away from African-centeredness, because we have scriptures that dictate what that should look like for melanated people, and once we move away from that, we are so far from our identity of how that role should be taken as melanated women in today's society. So not everyone fits that category. Like you said, not everyone fits that, but we can become that. But in order to become that, we have to now shift our perspective from a Eurocentric mentality to an African-centered perspective. And once we do that, we can fit that role. But part of that is understanding the sacredness of who we are engendered to be. And we were never taught that sacredness. We were taught sexual freedom. We were taught, we just got to look good. We were taught lady in the street, but freak in the bed. We were taught so many things that countered our narrative, that propaganda, right? There's a lady by the name Sue Ellen Browder, and she was a writer of the Cosmopolitan. And she admits that she told lies about sexual freedom and the propaganda that they had her put out. And she said, we pretended that sexual revolution was freedom for women, but it wasn't. It was actually more like slavery. But because we picked up someone else's battle, right? When feminism had this feminist movement, that was never our battle. But because we fighting someone else's war, we fell victim to that propaganda, and we became someone else's woman. Wow. It may be a little contradictory to say we become the white man's woman, right? But in becoming the white man's woman, are we attractive to melanated men in their consciousness and right state of mind?
Wow.
So you are in agreement that there is a movement, the feminist movement may not be a positive movement.
The feminist movement was never the black woman's movement. That's correct. It may have been positive for the white woman, but it was never a black woman's movement. There's a professor by the name of Clenora Hudson Weems. I just want to make sure we write that. It's a professor by the name of Clenora Hudson Weems, and she wrote a book called Africa Womanism. And she details that in her text, and she speaks about feminism, and she goes into the feminist movement, and she tells us the realities of our situation and circumstance today. And that's one of the things that she speaks about, was the feminine movement was never our fault. We were always man, woman, and child. We were never just about woman alone and fighting our own fight. That wasn't us.
Wow, that is powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You said you had 3 questions, though, right?
More question, I'll hang up on this.
Yeah.
In our country, it seems like the local assembly is moving in the area of feminizing the church. Do you see that in America where you are? I'll hang up and listen to you.
Thanks
and feminizing the church in what way?
Oh boy, I think go ahead.
Making it more attractive to catering to the women, the sisters rather, the sisters more than catering to the family and the virtuous women.
Okay. Well, we know that women are heavy in the church, and we are a church as well, right? But we are a teaching church, and we are looking at true Christianity versus the perspective of let's get the woman to be see, if you know that you can cater to a woman's emotions, then you can get the woman in the church to tap their bank accounts, to do whatever it is that you want if you focus on the women in their emotional state, right? And we understand that that's a reality. But ladies of purpose, and that's the Eurocentric church, has always catered to the feminine or to the female. But ladies of purpose, we understand that we are talking about Christ teachings, right? We're not looking at the crooked clergy and the pimps in the pulpits. That's the Eurocentric church, because they know they have a play, and it's always worked. So why change it? If I know I can cater to the female, then why change that play? But we're saying no. We understand that only leaves us in the condition that we've been in for thus long. So we have to take people away from the crooked clergy and into liberation. And that liberation mentality lays out exactly what that woman must do to fit that role. So we're not looking at attacking the church, but we're looking at shifting our perspective to identity, to the memory of what that lady represents, and the protection of cultural heritage.
Wow.
So yes, that is a thing, but we need to understand what our counter is. We said today we're not looking at talking about the problem, but now that we know that happens in the church, will you join the teaching church? Will you join the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah? See, that's when people start hanging up the phones. They're like, wait, hold on, wait.
And I know we're not talking about you, caller. We know you hung up to listen,
right,
but go ahead.
Not just you. No, not you. But if we know that in a Eurocentric church,
right,
then when we say, will you join a church, the African-centered church, a teaching church that focuses on the revolutionary Christ that looks like you, that has woolly hair and feet of Feinberg breath, that has a Christ consciousness, when we say, will you join that church, what will we do? What will we do?
I have a texter here, a couple of guys coming through. This one says, I have a hard time understanding why skin color determines one's thinking or behavior, as if each colored or white person is a monolith. What say you, Sister Zandi?
You said that
they have a hard time. They say they have a hard time understanding why skin color determines one's thinking or behavior, as if each colored or white person is a monolith.
Well, of course, skin color determines the thinking, because history shows us that. It's the same reason why in the Bible it says, "Slave, obey your master." That's of course that tells you how it applies to skin color, because a person is going to do what's best for their genetic survival.
Right.
We're talking about Hellenization, the Hellenists, the Greeks, the Romans, this on the road. And in taking this on the road, they said, guess what? If I can make you think that skin doesn't matter, if I can make you think that race doesn't matter, you will serve me. And you'll be okay with serving me. So we have to understand that the way a person thinks is directly attached to the color of their skin, because everyone is going to do what's best for their own survival. B.B. Francis Cress Wilson talks about it, and she talks about penis envy, and she talks about how the white race is only trying to do what's best for genetic survival. And so they are going to always tell you skin doesn't matter, but everything that's put in place in the system applies to the color of the skin.
Real talk. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio Today. Call you live.
Hey guys, how you doing? I got disconnected.
Sorry about that.
To be really quick.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say is this. it's amazing when you think about it. The feminist movement, as mentioned, was not really designed for us. And when you think about it, and you look at it, you can actually see where it has infiltrated the minds and the culture of our melanin-based women in a very, very, very serious way. So that was so successfully done to the point where we're always told, some mothers tell their girls, "Oh, you don't need a man for nothing. You can do this. You can buy this. You can own this. You can go and get your education, and blah 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 blah," which says that we were really seriously indoctrinated, and it was a very, very unique success. One of the interesting things, the back end of this, you think about this, in recent times, in many years, in recent times, it's interesting to see how many of the black men are, I'm talking from the actors, the sports, celebrities, the very elite, right down to us right nowadays, have been programmed and are more leaning towards the Caucasian sisters because of the teaching and the mindset that we as Afro men are consistently exposed to based on, we call it attitude. The attitudes that we get from the sisters. The mindset that the sisters have been programmed to believe. And as I said, the reverting back to the feminist movement that says, you can do this. You don't need them. You don't need that. And it shows me that our melanin sisters bought into that, and it has done the job that it was originally designed to do. And it's interesting that if you sit down and you talk to a lot of our Afro men now, especially in the Bahamas, a lot of them, hey, I need to go south because what we're dealing with here, I'm only talking about the Bahamas, but this is worldwide. I need to go south, and that's why you find the especially the local men. They're going down into the Dominican, they're going into the Philippines, they're going into this place, that place, because I'm not painting a brush on everybody, but the majority of the women of today, our women today, they highly unruly. And it seems as though it's a bad thing. They say they want a good man, they want this, they want that, but when you get a good man, and I'm using the COB's study of unfaithfulness that came out recently, is that what they actually want?
Thank you so much. We got to run to a break.
Put it out there.
Yeah,
but I appreciate what you're saying. This is very interesting, and I hope, and I can almost guarantee you, I may be wrong, but if you get any sisters calling into the show today or texting, I will be surprised.
Wow.
And I can tell you right now, on Coop, you may not have very much women log in to hear this because their minds are so poisoned.
Wow.
That anyone that's coming and talking about understanding your role as they don't look at that as something to learn from. They look at that as an offense.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you, my brother. Well, I hope we're gonna change that, right, Sister Zandi?
Yeah, well, we're going to change that. But first, we need to understand is that, the brother, he mentioned that our moms, the parents are the ones teaching, you don't need no woman, you don't need, but that's what we're talking about today. When we look at the African-centered West Niger Delta and Nile River Valley civilization teachings, it says that the womb is the first institution of civilization, the place where culture, identity, discipline, and purpose begin. So if we have ladies that are able to understand that the womb is the place that's going to begin to shape the mentality.
So
of
let's
the
take a
next
pin
generation.
right there, because I want us to touch on that after the break. Say that last part again. The womb is what?
Is the first institution of civilization.
First institution of civilization. We got to run to a break. We got to go to news, and then we got more texts, more calls, but we got to let our guests dive into that particular point when we come back after the break here on 96.9 Guardian Radio. Fresh news, smart talk all day. Again, my name is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, and our special guest today is a student priestess from the Holy Coptic Church, none other than Sister Azandi Ashanti Ali. Keep it locked here. We'll be back after this.
A spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the status quo. The fruit she'll bear, the power she has access to.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the status quo. The fruit she has access to.
Observe the 4 legs on the X chromosome, the 3 legs on the Y. The 7 is the completion, nevertheless, never the Y. 2 plus 2, 2 times 2 is the same in the eye.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today. Yes, indeed, man. I'm just trying to make sure you all catch a whiff of these lyrics from the one and only John 9 and a brethren there from Midnight. Man, powerful, powerful music. The spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the status quo. Our topic today is centered around that because we understand that the womb is the battlefield. Our special guest is none other than student priestess Azandi Ashanti Ali. She has a wonderful podcast called The Vantage Point. You can check it out on YouTube. But there's a wonderful event coming up March 27th and March 28th. You can go to journeyhomegroup.com. That's journeyhomegroup.com. You can register for free. We are working to have a face-to-face component for the women's. You can definitely be online for the event. Sister Zandi, we left off on a very, very crucial point, and I want to touch that before we get back to the phone lines and the text. But you were mentioning something about the womb. You were saying something about the womb. I want you to repeat that and just explain it for us, please.
Right, because thank you again, Kahunako. We're talking about the womb of liberation, right? And understanding that the womb is the first institution of civilization. Wow. Because the womb is the place where culture, and that's the main part of this conversation, is we're trying to understand how culture, identity, discipline, and purpose begins in the womb.
Wow.
So where we as melanated women, right, children of the Most High, are carrying a seed. Mm-hmm. We are determining what that seed will become and what that seed will think. Okay. And it goes back to what your caller said about is race and mentality, should they be connected? And it's the second that my identity as a melanated woman is not connected to the way I think is the moment that we have to realize we have a huge problem. Because I should be teaching my seed that their identity is very important. I should be teaching them who they are. I should be teaching them the world that they're going into. I should be teaching them what they should be looking for. I should be teaching them self-pride. I should be teaching them race pride. I should be teaching them all of these things that's going to shape them to become liberators. Mm-hmm. But when we're creating everything else but liberators, that means we're giving them someone else's teachings.
Okay.
And so Hellenism says that that it doesn't matter, that you can go to, the other caller talked about the church being, feminized.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so the second that we put ourselves in someone else's church that's not based on our teachings, that's not based on the African Christ, then we're telling ourselves that we can become and they can directly influence how we think about ourselves and how we use our womb to shape the next generation. Mm-hmm. Because when they give you the white Jesus with the long hair and they tell you that this is the one that's going to die for you and do this for you and do that for you and do that, they are catering to that very narrative.
Right.
But when we talk about an African Christ, We talk about the one described in the book of Revelations and Daniel 7:9, the one with woolly hair, the one with feet fine of burnt brass, when we're talking about the consciousness of Christ, spoken about in 1 Corinthians. Now we're talking about a different type of mentality. And in that mentality comes purpose. Now your child has purpose in the world, and the purpose is not to become someone else's slave. The purpose is not to become indoctrinated with someone else's interpretation of who they are and how they can serve the other race.
Yes, indeed. That's right.
So we have to understand that the Most High Heavenly One, the Most High God says, I gave you a word. I gave you a culture. I gave you an identity. And if that identity didn't matter, then when the Canaanite woman came to Christ, he wouldn't have pushed her away. He wouldn't have said, I've only came to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Matthew 15:21-20. That would not have happened. So it must matter. Race must matter.
Yeah.
Identity must matter.
Right.
But Christ was raised. And the womb that reared him, African-centered thinking, African scriptural thinking. So what matters is that we're talking about the cosmological traditions of the Nile River Valley and Niger Delta civilization.
Right.
And that the mother is the first teacher of the principles of balance, truth, order, and harmony. So when we're looking at the mothers that's saying, you don't need a man, or you don't need a this, or you don't need a that, that's not African-centeredness.
Right.
So the very problem that the callers are saying, well, I find a wife and no women are going to call in today, that's because we're talking about women such as myself, such as those listening in, such as those who have been Hellenized. But women were not the only one Hellenized.
Amen.
Men were Hellenized too.
That's right. That's right.
The callers, the ones that are saying this, we have to understand, and the accountability we spoke about is that you have been Hellenized too. But we're saying that we can change that. We're saying that we can become the true Proverbs woman. But we're saying, will you help us get the women to the right environment that's going to cultivate that? Will you help get the men, the ones calling in, the ones listening, into the right environment to cultivate that so you can find a wife? And so she can find a husband, because women are complaining about the market too. They're talking about the dating market too, okay? So it's a lot of complaints going on. We only change it by changing the environment, because we're in an environment with no rules. And an environment with no rules only gives us Hellenism, because Hellenism had wife swap. Hellenism has men on men and woman on woman. Hellenism has all of these things. So unless we're getting ourselves to an environment that says, no, let us learn our way.
Yes.
Let us teach our way. Because I realize a lot of times when we call in, and especially as we're speaking about, racism and the things that are happening, a lot of the callers I've heard say sometimes is, no, that's not happening in Bahamas. But lesbianism is legal in Bahamas.
Well, it's happening.
Crime is happening in Bahamas. Skin bleaching is happening in Bahamas. Sex toys is available in Bahamas. Right? Hellenized religious practices is happening in Bahamas. So the sickness is there too. But unless we recognize the sickness as not just being the woman who's bougie, stuck up, and don't want to say hi, unless we're not recognizing that it's an actual sickness that comes from a system, then we can't fix that system.
Yes. So one of the,
but we have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. One of the things I don't want to miss this point that the texter was making. They were saying they were asking, because skin color or race is being mentioned, does it mean that blacks or whites are a monolith? Is that what's being said?
Doesn't mean that they're a monolith.
Yeah, we all the same, no matter so your skin color is going to determine, how you think. So because you're black, you automatically think a certain way?
No.
Right.
Because you're black, you don't automatically think a certain way. But what we're saying is that the system has programmed us to think a certain way.
Right. I just want to make that clear.
Right? That it's a system that's programming and dictating the way that we think. So it's not just, because I'm black, this is what I think. No, because I'm black and under a system of oppression, this is why I think the way I think.
Okay.
But if I'm black with a liberated mind, that system makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
If I'm black with a liberated mind, I reject that system, because that system is not made for us. Right? That system only separates us.
Right. Right.
Now, when we're talking about racism and we're talking about Eurocentric mentality, it is always been about dominance. And history tells us that it's always been about dominance. History tells us it's about conquering. It's about taking land. It's about changing culture. It's about changing identity. It's about war. History shows us that that's a reality. Because it didn't just happen in one place. It's happening all around the world, and it's happening all around the world today.
Right now. Turn on
So
your
that
TV.
must be the nature of a people, of that specific set of people. We're talking about their nature. But what we're telling melanated people is that this is not our nature. We've taken on someone else's nature. How do we know? Because when we live at a time in the Nile River Valley and Niger Delta civilization where we didn't have the wars and we didn't have to have the rapes, and we had families that were together. We had a man, woman, and child together. It wasn't until we were influenced by Hellenism that this became our problem.
Right.
So if we didn't have that issue, that means that we have to understand what has happened to us and get back to the way that we thought, and get back to our culture, and get back to the discipline, and get back to the very thing that's going to protect us and inoculate our minds from their disease.
Amen. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you live.
Good day, Uncle.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Yeah,
Good day.
Good day to you again. Hello.
Can you hear him, Sister Zandi?
I can hear him. Yes. How you doing?
Yeah. That's a powerful lady you got there, by Uncle. I tell you for real, by.
Yes, sir.
Hey, but honestly, I tell you. Now, I want your guest to answer this question. I have a couple questions, right? But this first question, right? If this feminism thing to me is a poison. It's toxic for family and for generations to come. Now, when a lady looks in the mirror and she sees what God gave her herself, she looks in her phone, she sees someone else, and she wants to be what she sees in her phone, and she actually do everything to be that person in the phone. What does that mean? Is feminism leading women because we can do what we want to do at the demise of the future? Because, like when you mentioned the womb, right? Women go to the extreme of using all these toxic chemicals, mercury, hydroquinone. When it gets into the bloodstream, it changes the DNA. So, I mean, the future is destroyed because for a moment you want to look like somebody else and look in the mirror, and whatever God gives you, you rather go with the devil, because all the demonic things, the chemicals and stuff that they use to try to attain to be somebody else, is destructive for the future. The baby in the womb. Hello?
Yeah, you got a question for her? We with you. We with you.
You know, and then it goes on, right? The Christianity thing, because I had an encounter just about an hour ago in the supermarket, right? And I was just talking. I say, man, I get ready to get some food, and the Caucasian lady stopped on the side, and very nice looking lady. I say, boy, I'm just surprised that every time I say, how are your ladies still coming to buy food from other women? Oh, well, what's wrong with that? I say, plenty wrong with that. Women need to be at home and cook the food. She don't have to cook at home. She can go buy because food tastes good. I say, yeah, but you should practice cooking at home. Because, I mean, when we look at it, right, women get away with too much. They would buy these hair wouldn't even belong on their body. The summer come in and watch and see it's hot. Yes. And they put on here for 4 or 5 people.
If you don't mind if I jump in for just a second, right? And I'm hearing what you're saying, and with the problem that you're describing is the identity of these women, right? Who are looking to become something other than self. So the original mother, the mother of civilization, understands the importance of identity. Yeah, and you spoke about the womb and the eggs and the womb and how we just desecrating it. But the same way that we let men into the womb that didn't belong, there are also ancestors that we carry in the womb. Exactly. And if we put ourselves in the right environment and we understand the scriptures from our perspective and we put ourselves in the right mentality, then we can activate, because the eggs that's in the womb are already pre-encoded with genetic material and genetic formula of our ancestors that has the right programming, that has the right mentality. So if we understand the sacredness of the womb, then we will activate that in ourselves and not the false identity that we've been given. So it's not all is not lost, right?
Yeah, but
Because all is not lost because we went to the store and bought some weave. But what happens is that now we need to understand, why don't we want to put the weave in? And if men are praising the women that have the weave in, and if men are praising the women with the BBL and with the fake nails and the fake eyelashes, if they are the highlights, then no one will change that, because they think this is what the men want. So we have to, brothers have to start saying, I want the natural woman.
That's right.
And that has to become the standard. Because if that becomes the standard, women will change to be what that man wants.
But in closing, right? Everything that you're saying is so true, right? But I tell you no lie, right? When you speak about telling the ladies about all the adverse things that they put on their bodies, I don't know who they're trying to attract or who they're trying to impress. But honestly, I tell you no lie, right? Me, I think I could get in trouble soon, because I tell you no lie, right? As a senior citizen, right? I tell you no, refusing to go in these different stores and these women, I don't know what they be on, and I don't know whoever their man is to allow them to go out like they're going to the circus or some play or some acting, whatever BS. You know, you know what? A real man, you know what a real man does? He's put his foot down. And you know what? A real man will tell that woman, you know what? If you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this, you know what? You can do that. That's it. And men need to be like that to these women, because guess what? Women are out of their mind today. They're out of their minds. And like no one can tell them anything.
We must understand that the same reason that women are out of their mind is the same reason that men are also out of their mind. The point is that we have all been Hellenized. The point is that we are all thinking like something other than self and kind, because the same way that we may not want a woman to have false hair or false nails, what are we allowing her to have that's still identifying with someone else's culture?
Yeah, but
right. So there's all these different areas that must be addressed. It is the physical presentation of the woman, but it's also the mentality of the woman.
Yeah, but
until we address that mentality, we cannot become that proverbial woman. That proverbial woman comes with a mentality, and she comes with cultural values, and she comes with spiritual traditions, and she comes with abilities. And so if we're forcing the physical appearance, then we need to force the cultural values, which means you need to be in the same place that she's in, which you need to be in a cultural environment that's going to make both of us ready for each other. So we can't attack one thing until we say, I'm going to be a part of the solution by helping to create the environment that's going to allow this woman to be herself. Because she's trying to be herself in a world that says herself is ugly, that says herself is not accepted. And we have to also understand that as well, is that image may not be readily accepted. You may like it, but some other people may say, oh, that's nappy. Oh, that's too black. Oh, that's too. So how do we make her feel comfortable? Not only make her feel comfortable, how do we lift her up and praise her for being herself? For wearing her natural hair.
Amen,
right?
amen.
Because the TV praises the other image. So now what do you do? What do we do to say, how do we counter that? How do we make the Black woman feel like she is the creme de la creme? She's the 9, she's the 10 for being herself and not being someone else. But that means that self comes with more than I did. That means that person is going to expect something of the Black man as well.
Accountability.
And that's what that's accountability, but that's what Proverbs is saying. This is what this conference is about. The womb of liberation and rebranding of Proverbs 31, because the Proverbs 31 says we have a standard.
Right.
And that standard is what we're trying to get back to. But that standard means that we can't just say this is what she's doing, but now how do I help to move her and to shift her back to where she belongs in that role and shift the mentality. But that means that as we shift her mentality, that the brothers, we must shift their mentality as well, because we said it's a family thing.
Family thing, yes, indeed. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. You hot, man. This phone lines are lit up. Caller, you live.
Hey, okay, guys. Listen, sis, I got it. And when I say I got it, I mean I got it. We were looking at what we think the a virtuous woman should be, but not understanding that we must, or I must be in an environment where I could appreciate what it is that she is all about, and also that she could appreciate what I should be about. And that in itself is a very interesting viewpoint, because it's like planting a seed. If I'm looking for mango trees, and I plant a mango tree in a rough, rugged territory, that mango tree probably is not going to grow. But me, as the good soil, I must first of all become the good soil, find myself in the right soil, so that I not only can attract, but also know what it is that I also need to do as the male. Because we've been taught that from the concept of what a virtuous woman should be like and what she should look like, but I've never really heard it from the view on how you're saying that we, as males, must find ourselves in the right place.
That's right.
Being the right soil, so that she could also flourish. And, I'm very impressed by what I really appreciate this. And like I said before, I'm hoping that the men understand that this is very important. This is deep.
Yeah.
And if we're looking for a good wife, a sensible relationship, we should first of all make sure that we're planting ourselves in the right soil, so that we can bear the fruits that will attract, maintain, and uplift that virtuous woman.
Wow.
Because maybe we have been not in the proper mindset and in the proper place. So we're looking for something that we think needs to be improved as well, but forgetting the fact that, hey, we have been taught this way that, okay, listen, that's what we're looking for in the woman, but we're not looking at ourselves. And I appreciate the talk show. I really, it's an eye-opener. And, I want to find myself in the right soil.
Well, we pray you come to the event.
Yeah, I will be there, man.
Thank you.
I'll be on.
Thank you.
Great.
Wow. Well, let's keep it rolling. You got anything else to say to that? Because
no, he's absolutely, a lot of times today, especially social media, right? It always people speak about, man, how they want this kind of man and the six-figure man. And they say, well, is she ready for that type of man and what that man requires? But we got to understand that applies to culture, right? Are we ready for what culture requires and demands of us? Because culture has requirements for the melanated man and the melanated woman. Now, this is the woman's conference, but what we're saying is that as the woman is changing, as the lady is changing and becoming, they both have requirements, or they will never meet each other in righteousness. If we don't meet each other in righteousness, we're only meeting each other in debauchery. We're only meeting each other in Hellenism. We're only meeting each other in modern thinking. So the culture is important, and that's what Proverbs is giving us.
Amen. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you live?
Hey, gracious usual Uncle, you guess how you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for calling.
Very there, Chief. Hey, now, Uncle, this question for you. This question for your guest.
Sure.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Wait a minute. I have a quick question for you, right? Why do your woman cut your hair to the next following week to put hair back in your hair, which you just finished cutting?
Well, we will have to the women who do that. But what I would say is that we can't say what women do, because there's some women who don't. There's some women who want to be natural. There's some women who don't want to add chemicals to their hair and don't want to add extensions to their hair. So it's what are we raising the next generation to do? Because my daughter, she's 6 and she doesn't have extensions.
No.
And so when we're talking about Proverbs, it's telling us how we must raise and rear the next generation. But because we haven't been raised in that way and we've only been raised in Hellenism, that's exactly why we do it, because Hellenism is confusion.
Yeah.
Hellenism says shave off your eyebrows to draw them back on. Hellenism says cut your hair to add hair. Right. But being your Africanness says, wait a minute, this is who you are, and you will embrace who you are. And this is why who you are is special. And this is why who you are is a blessing, because the Most High God has blessed us. So we must understand why we're talking about Proverbs today, why we're talking about becoming, right? The idea of becoming and being worth more than rubies, because there's a process that we have to undergo.
Right.
But the process goes further than why are we doing this, but why are we not being ourselves? What took us away from that?
Right. Right. This texter says, "Hey, Uncle, I'm so disappointed in our men these days." So this is a woman texting in. All right. She said, "I'm so disappointed in our men in these days. I have 3 girls, and it's scary. My grandfather was a provider, but these men these days seem to be pushing the feminine movement more than women. 50-50, plus the woman must have the kids and take women that have the kids." What say you, Sister Zandi?
That the men refuse to take care of the women.
She's saying that these men are pushing the feminist movement more than the women. They want to go 50-50. You know, they want the woman to have the children and take care of the children. They don't want to take care of the women. What say you?
Well, again, I don't like to point the finger to one side,
right.
But we must understand what happened when we said that we don't need Black men. Right? What happened when we got away from the unity of the family? Because Proverbs is promoting unity. So once we got into separation and we said, I can do what you can do, or I can, I can do better by myself, or I'm independent and I have my own house and I have my own clothes and I have my own this. Once we played into that narrative, which we already established is not our narrative. Once we played into that narrative, then he said, okay, well, 50-50 then. Because, well, if you could do what I can do, then let's just go half one. Right. Wow. So we have brought ourselves down to a level of not being cared for, respected, and taken care of. When we allow anyone into our womb, which is the sacred place, we have now allowed ourselves to be put in a position taken care of. Wow. Right. So African centeredness gives us a whole different narrative. And we understand that when we speak life into our husband and when we speak life into our sons and our daughters, we are creating a different environment. And in that environment, he has you. And in that environment, he will take care of you, but you will also take care of him. So when we said, I don't cook, I don't clean, and I just like, morning, y'all know, the lyrics.
Cardi B, yeah.
When we start singing songs to BB Francis Weston said, we're the only people who sing our own degradation.
Wow.
So when we became that, 50-50 became okay.
Wow. Got a brother here. He's not really responding to the text, but he's really very happy about what he's hearing. So my brother, the event is March 27th and 28th. You can go to journeyhomegroup.com. He says, P.S. My wife only is buy groceries. I pay for everything else in our house. Everything, bro. Her money is her money. I took her out of her father's house to take care of her the best way I can. Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're also saying? I'm just pushing back on both sides to see what are we saying. Are we saying, hey man, you got to take care, you got to pay all the bills. You got to take her out of her house and make sure she don't never have to work a day. And I'm like, what are we saying?
See, we have to understand that this picture, this narrative is being created. And it's saying that Black men aren't doing. Black men have always helped with chores and taking out garbage and doing the man thing. Right? And it's always unified because Black women have always done their part and their responsibility. Yeah. So I think it's not a matter of if we understand gender roles from an African theological scriptural perspective, then we will understand our roles put us exactly where we need to be. And we don't have to try to have this back and forth. That's why that's why we say come to the conference, because we're telling us this is where we should be. And this is what our roles are. And this is how we live up to those standards and live up to those roles.
Yeah.
Because Black women brought money into the house without having to go out and work for other than self and kind.
Right.
So when we were able to make money without working for someone else, that was okay. But when we had to be a part of getting their education, getting one of their jobs, and waiting to have our children so that we can make this name and we can be this person, that's when all of the confusion starts. Wow. We did hair beading and hair braiding and all of these things, baking food. We were able to make money sewing and staying in our position and in our role.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to do that by clocking into someone else's job.
Right. Wow. Anyway, let's go back to the phone. I've got some more text coming. Let's go back to the phone lines and we hit the text again. Caller, you live.
Good afternoon, Dr. Enos.
Hey, Sparky. How you doing, man?
And your guest. Boy, I'm listening to your guest, and let me tell you something. Education plays a big role in this. The more the women went off and started getting educated and coming back with all this influence they found, met all these different people from all these different countries, came back with all these different personalities, things started changing. You ever notice now, every place we go, one time ago when a woman go to work with her hair below her neck, you had to put on a net in the eatery, right?
Yeah.
The Kentuckys and all of them. Now when you go in the super value, wherever you go now, just about every woman around here, they call black, got hair down below their doggone back pocket on their pants. The manager got her hair down below her jeans pocket. The waitress who's serving you, the cook, and everybody got hair down. All the black women trying to, who got the longest, the red, the green, the purple, the weave, and this. Like, man, you know it, Mr. Dr. Enos. When you sit with the guys watching baseball and basketball, what we say, we really don't like that.
No.
We don't like it. But now, who they trying to impress? They can't be impressing us. They trying to impress one another. They want to outmodel one another. Wear the tightest pants, the shortest doggone thing, and going out to fish fry in the middle of the night, sometimes going out with their daughters, with their sweethearts and their daughters dressing just like mommy. Hello?
Wow. Yeah, with you, Sparky.
And you're going to fish fry, you're going to this cook-up. They got to be trying to outdress one another.
Yeah.
And look here, like I said, my mother died at 46 years old. She worked the Malcolm gas station on Bay Street in the day and switchboard operator at night.
She ain't had time for that.
She left two wonderful homes in the Centerville area, one on Madera Street, one through East Avenue by the basketball court going to Battery and Tire.
Right.
She left one for me and my sister and the big house for my brother who was up to, Kippy, who was up to Howard University, studying to be a civil engineer, when she died that December.
Wow.
My father died at 67, and he didn't even have a piece of property.
Wow.
He was living in my mother's house.
Wow.
And I can tell you something before I go. When I went to vote for the first time in the Valley, my father called me. He said, he's in the front room. I said, son, can I ask a question? How did you vote? I said, son, I vote PLP. He sucked his teeth. He said, this a UVP house, I say, sir, this is my house my mother left for me. You don't have a home. He said he wanted to put me out the house. I said, but you can't put me out this house. This belonged to me and my sister. Go buy a piece of property and build a house.
Wow.
He died at 67 without a piece of property.
Wow. Thank you, Sparky. That's one of the elders, sisters, Andy. So the elders, they calling in. But that's, that's an example of, this system has been in play generations. He's talking about, he's an elder and he's talking about his parents. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
but one of the things he said, Colin, is that, education is the problem. But I want us to make sure that we're clear that education is not the problem. It's miseducation that became the problem, because there's nothing wrong with education. We originally had math and science and medicine, right? And in Proverbs, it speaks about before schools even existed, African mothers transmitted language and history and cosmology and discipline and were the first teachers. So there's nothing wrong with education, but when we go into someone else's miseducation system and they say just be a secretary or just do psychology or sociology, right? And misleading us. I mean, unless we went to like PhD PhD levels, where they allowed us to think or at least begin to question, then now we are still only under that system of miseducation. So it's not that education was a problem, but proper education didn't separate you from family.
Amen.
Proper education brought family together. So it's the miseducation that says, no, go off and get that, and now I can do my own thing. No, proper education, Proverbs speaks about. It teaches moral discipline, generational continuity, economic stability, and respect for ancestors.
Yes.
Because if we had respect for ancestors, I dare me to look for them to put in all of this work and all of this fight for me to bow down and look like someone else. But in our ignorance, we've all done it.
Yeah.
In our ignorance, we've all put in what he said, purple and pink and whatever. But it's not that a person is just wanting to do crazy, but we have become ignorant to the knowledge of self.
Amen.
And this is what we must remember.
Caller, you live. Caller going once.
Hi there. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Hey, it's a female voice. How are you, madam? They say no.
Wonderful.
They say no women was gonna call today. I'm happy you called in. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. So I was listening to everyone basically, and I literally was like, why is it only men calling and not
right.
women who are actually going to give their point of view?
Thank you.
Let me just firstly say, I'm happy that this topic is here because I understand that men want a particular type of woman. And I say that with all my chest. Turn it down a little bit, Star. So one of the things I want to start with is Sparky and speaking on his mother and what she did.
Yeah.
And mind you, at that time, I know that women were doing a lot and they were making sure that their kids went to school. But we are asking for traditional women, but men don't want to be traditional men. And I say that with the wholeness of my heart. Because if you want a traditional woman, then you have to do the traditional man thing. There, at this time, men don't open doors for women. They don't want to take you on a date. A traditional man had to court you with the presence of your parents there. And he had to speak with the father first before taking you out. So if you want me to be a traditional woman, you've got to do all the things that my father did. My father took care of the home, which means I never had to ask for anything because he made sure it was provided. He protected me. That means that if I am going out with you, you should be my protector. And if I needed anything other than that, outside of my father's love and attention, I got that without ever having to question that because he showed up every time. So till the moment that I have to say, I need something for you, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call my daddy to do it.
Did your dad go to church?
My dad go to church. My dad did everything that he needed to do. He went to church, he took care of the family, and he made sure that my mother felt like the woman that she was and is, which means at the same time he did the roles that every man should be doing. Now, as it relates to women and their hair, I understand another gentleman called and said, one moment your hair is short and the next minute it's long. We are women. The same way a man can go out and cut off all his hair and then the next day he's now with a fade or a fro or whatever, we've got that option. Stop finding little things to nitpick about. Unless you are actually taking care of that woman, you have no right to ask her what she's doing with her hair. Women are chameleons. One day you could have Barbie, the next day you can have Kunta Kinte. We all give you a little bit of everything, and the same thing for men. Don't pick so much as to what men pick on. They are always trying their very best to find the small things to chastise us to the point that we women, we date men who are handsome, tall, strong. The next minute you find us with chubby belly there.
A little bit ugly.
And a little bit ugly.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with men, you know. What we have a problem is the way you treat us. You treat us well, we treat you well.
Yeah. I appreciate this.
My sister, may I ask, do you also go to church as well?
I do.
Okay. And that's the point. I think, she's right for those men and those women. But instead of looking for a traditional man or a traditional woman, we need traditional doctrine. We need traditional teachings and traditional beliefs, right? Because as long as we're looking for a traditional man or woman, it's nothing that's giving instruction to that man or instruction to that woman. Traditional beliefs gives instruction, and we have to live under that instruction and live under that guidance. So it's important for us to understand the same way we've been Hellenized by this system that's made us, up, down, in and out, and not really have opening the doors and all the tradition we're talking about is because we got away from our traditional scriptures.
Yes,
and
indeed.
that kept us in order because it told the man what to do, and it tells the woman what to do, and it tells us what to raise the children to do. And in that we have order, and in that we have structure. But when we're out here and we're just trying to make a man into an individual type of man and a woman into an individual type of woman, we're going to keep getting these individual results. Where we say, this might have worked for my grandparent, this might have worked for my mom and my dad, but why isn't it working for us as a people and as a race?
Well,
And that's because we have to get back to our teaching.
we got to run to a break here on Guardian Radio today. Is Sister Azandi Ashanti Ali. She's a student priestess of the Holy Coptic Church. You can also check her out on her podcast, The Vantage Point. And we're going to be back right after this. Keep it locked.
Seems to be a sacrifice to those outside the temple as they fail to overstand the path she choose. Is what she willingly releases as she actively connecting with the forces that she learning how to use. A spiritual woman is the greatest threat to the...
Put more money back in your pocket with the Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan. Why pay more when you can pay less? Reduce your monthly debt payments down to one low, easy payment. Apply for a Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Get set. Track and field fans, it's that time. Time for the B3A Carifta Trials, March 20th through 22nd at the original Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Come see the country's finest young athletes in blazing battles on the track and fierce field competition as they look to book their tickets to the 53rd Carifta Games in St. George's, Grenada on the Easter holiday weekend. Who will make the team to represent for the B3A Carifta Trials, March 20th through 22nd at the original Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Competition starts at 5 p.m. on Friday, March 20th, and 3 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, March 21st and 22nd. General admission, $12. Children under 12, $8. $20 VIP. 3-day passes are $34 general admission, $20 children under 12, and $58 for a 3-day VIP pass. The B3A Carifta Trials, March 20th through 22nd. Don't you miss it. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Spiritual woman is the greatest threat to us. Wow. The fruit she'll bear, the power she has access to.
Yes, indeed. Back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. Our special guest today is none other than Sister Azandi Ashanti Ali. She's a student priestess of the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah. She also has a wonderful podcast called The Vantage Point. And we're talking about a reality that, faces us whether we know it or not. The womb is the battlefield. This texter says, I think survival is what happened. I grew up thinking a prince was going to save me, but instead he tried to destroy me. So I'm now teaching my daughters to be more careful. It's a sad cycle because my grandfather was a provider, my father and husband weren't, which pushed me to be a provider. Now I'm called selfish and independent. Sister Zandi, these some heavy tax, man. What you got to say? It is sister say she's being called selfish because she got to be a provider.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is the thing. Selfish and independent.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we understand, right? There's nothing wrong with taking care of your child because you have to.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between I'm independent and I'm going to do this because I can do it by myself because this person wasn't for me and that person wasn't for me. And so now it puts you in, it gives you this hard shell and exterior and it makes you feel like you have to masculine more than your feminine, right?
Mm.
Because if we understand that we do still, everything that happened to us happened, but we still do need a man.
Mm-hmm.
And the man does still need the woman. So as long as we are alone, of course, we have to handle our responsibility as mother, as daughter, as sister, as wife, as all of these different things. We do have to handle the responsibility as long as we understand I need a man. I still do need that man.
Right. Let me just get through this one more text, and then we got some more phone calls. We got about 7 minutes left. This text says, it's laughable that the previous caller could lay out the qualifications of a traditional man, i.e. protect and provide. She also talked about how her father courted her mother. However, the traditional woman comes with one very important quality, and that is virginity. And while it's impossible to find this traditional quality in women today, is it too much to ask for a bit of modesty and maybe just a few sexual partners? Women say they want traditional men, but are far from traditional women. The door swings both ways. Okay.
Oh, that sounds like Love Lies Liberation.
I know, right?
Okay.
Let's try. We got 3 calls on the board. Let's try to get through these calls. Calling you live.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Great, man. Thanks for calling.
Great. Looked like I was wrong, man. We actually had a woman.
You was wrong. Yeah, they proved you wrong today.
I was ready.
Let me make this real quick.
Statement.
You know, one of the fundamental things that I see it happening, right? And this is one of the things. The sister that called in, one of the things that I started to pick up. She was doing good in the beginning.
Right.
But one of the things that was when she started to talk about, what my dad did and what I used to do and so forth. And I said, okay, that's good and fine. But if you were listening to everything that the sister was saying, it wasn't about what the man do, the woman do, it's what we do. It's what we as a couple culture ourselves and bring the understanding of what we need to do as a couple. And like I said, I couldn't tell, like, and I was guilty of that. I'm converted now. I understand now that I have a role to play as well. And maybe the exposure that she may have had to other men who were not in the same mindset that the sister brought light to me about, now we have to get, like she said, we have to be retrained. Basically, that's what she's saying.
Both men
we
and
have
women.
to be retrained, and we have to understand what our true roles were, our Afro roles were, and basically approach it from that mindset as well. And that, I think that has to come with humility from both ends. We have to humble ourselves and understand that maybe the way that we've been doing it just wasn't working because to do it.
Amen.
That's point number one. Then earlier you had a text or caller that called in and said something about why is skin, why is race so important? But I asked this question. If I were to come to their church and I put up a black Jesus, and everybody comes in church and I put up a picture of a black Jesus in your church, what do you think the reaction is going to be? I've literally heard people say that's going to be blasphemous. They're probably gonna say, what the blah, 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 blah. But we've never thought about this. And we've been so Hellenized to the point where we actually believe that it's wrong. It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And that's
right there. Can I jump in really quick?
Go ahead.
What you said is important, and I just want to make sure that we don't forget, right? And when you said, if I come to your church and I put a black Jesus, and an important piece of that we have to understand is that it's not just about the black Jesus, right? Because now we have churches that use that, and they like to use consciousness when they can.
Yeah.
But that black Jesus comes with a black doctrine.
Okay.
That black Jesus comes with black scripture. So once we understand, it's not just about the image, but it's about the teaching. It's about the perception. It's about the mentality. It's about the education of that black Jesus. Then now we have to have openness to embrace what that Christ consciousness came to give us, right?
Amen.
We can't then question, because what happens is when we give the melanated Jesus doctrine, wait, where'd that come from? That doesn't say that in my Bible. Wait, hold on. Where we get that from? And we begin to doubt. So the same way that we're open to the image of the Black Jesus, we must also be open to the mentality of that same Christ.
Amen.
And what the caller said about, like a couple of the callers, right? The sister that was speaking about her parents.
Yeah.
And what she was saying to us is that her mom and her dad, they did all of these things, but they went to church. Now, no matter what their church was, right? We don't know, because a lot of these churches are miseducating us. I don't know what they taught. But at that time, her mom and her dad probably had more rules. So her mom wasn't changing her hair every week and doing the things that we're doing. So what we have to understand is that culture comes with rules and laws, and those rules and laws are keeping us in place and in order and aligned with the Christ consciousness.
Right.
So the important part about culture, to the last lady who said, I'm trying to remember everybody who said, about the bodies. See, we as females allow any and every man into our womb. How will we see men in our culture? How can we get back to culture if we don't even see our men in that way because of the men that we allowed into? So we're talking about the womb here, right? So we have to understand that the more we treat our womb as sacred, we will see our men as sacred, and that experience that we have with the man as sacred. It's not just sex. They teach sex is just going into the bedroom, we coming out. But once you understand, no, this sex is exchanging energy, exchanging DNA, exchanging bodily fluids, and exchanging and taking on that man's mentality, then you will be careful. We will be careful about the men we allow into us, because all of this is taking place in that one interaction. So then it's not about somebody happened to convince you not to have bodies. You're like, wait, hold on. I wish I would have known that a couple of years ago, because, because I'm changing everything to me from one encounter with one man. So we will be more careful, because culture educates us in such a way where we will want to have only a cultured man with a conscious mentality enter our womb and bring forth the liberated children with a liberated mentality. So this is why culture is important, and this is why we are teaching Proverbs in this way, because it is reversing the miseducation and putting us in a mentality of proper knowledge, proper wisdom of self, and how to apply that wisdom in all areas, whether it be religion, whether it be the relationships in the body counts, whether it be the economics, whether it be the identity and what we're putting on and how we look, every area, anything we can think of, we call it 9 areas of people activity: religion, economics, labor, sex, gender, education, law, war, security, and politics. Everything everybody said today. Culture will regulate that scripturally if we put ourselves in the right environment. And that's why we're saying, come to the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah. Let's not talk about the problem. Let's be a part of the solution, because we can create ladies of purpose, men of purpose, but it means that purpose deals with identity and culture, and scripture giving us instruction. And that's the important part that we can't run from.
Our special guest today, Sister Azandi Ashanti Ali, a student priestess of the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah. Check out her podcast, The Vantage Point, and make sure you sign up for the Women's Conference, March 27th and 28th. That's go to journeyhomegroup.com. It's free. So just register and share the link. And like I said, we'll get back to you with a face-to-face location if it's possible here in the Bahamas, but definitely we'll be online. Thank you so much, my sister, and I wish we had more time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guardian Radio, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. So sorry I couldn't get to all the calls and all the texts, but Friday we'll be back at it again. Our special guest, Dr. Nicole Ford. We're going to be talking more about this conference and a whole lot more about this reality facing women and men and families, Black families,